welcome to your Pick a Card. Here we have the selection 1, 2, and 3. Pause the video, and also the timestamps will be in the description box, and we'll get started with group 1. All right, group 1, the first card you have out is my Queen of Swords, and I love this. She's giving you this blindfold that I feel could have been used in the Two of Swords. It's a gift, and I think of foresight or enlightenment, and that's a beautiful thing. As she sits in her chair comfortably, head back, perfectly poised, and her sword is raised because it's facing me. I feel that the sword is raised for the present moment. So something we may need to cut ourselves through. You could defend yourself. You could use it for discernment or truth, a new perspective, but we'll see as the cards unfold. Ooh, I told you. See, I knew she was giving you the blindfold, but the Page of Swords is also the raw energy of the sword, who may not feel, it's not that they don't have the capacity, but they may not feel they're ready for something. They may feel a little bit insecure, and because they're so smart, it's like they'll do more research, they'll investigate more and double check. Some of you, this could be a student, and the Queen of Swords, much like Justice in the Air Avenue, would talk about law. So whether it's universal law or like practical laws for some of you, it's just doing some research, could even be paperwork involved or communication, a message. Wow, we have 2 queens. This definitely could be 2 archetypes, and they're both facing the past. She has her back turned, so the only thing that I'm showing for the present moment would be the tools that are being used. This talks about common sense, and this talks about intelligence. This is an energy of, like the Page of Swords, discerning, observing, listening. This talks about being practical. So there may be a situation where you're being called or required to make a practical decision based on your intelligence. We have the Four of Cups here. And the Four of Cups could talk about things that we don't want. I wouldn't say just abandonment or rejection, but it talks about having more than enough. When I think about someone who's possibly had more than enough, the Queen of Swords has raised her sword and either removed her blindfold or is giving it to someone else for them to see for themselves. So you could have a situation, or some of you, there may be a situation involving another where someone wants you to see. You could be receiving or giving information that seems like common sense, but to someone else it may not be. And I feel that this friend or you may need it because there's this energy of like rejection or rejecting. And I also, when I look at the Four Cups, he's blindfolded and he has the 2 cups on his back and his hands are tied. And I don't know if he's broken out of a situation, but it's like, brother, what were you thinking? Like, I can do it, getting everything done. Or maybe these are the cups that are kind of used as the scale. It's like he's the scale and here are the cups. But maybe we can be biased. Maybe if this is in regard to a spiritual matter and we're more in a materialistic, practical, or 3D mode, I feel that the Queen of Swords could offer us some advice if we listen. If there is a situation in your life or person that seems physical, financial, work-related, or even just the busy day-to-day life of a single parent, an administrator, someone who could work in do like clerical work or something like that. With this, I just feel the Queen of Swords and this sword may offer balance and fairness. She may even demand that and may reject anything outside of that, not really caring what the logistics are, who the administrator is, or what the materials are behind it. So just be mindful of that. Now, the two other cups that are before him, they don't have the stick. They're just hanging on by the string. And because he's blindfolded with cups on his back and his hands tied, it's like, how would he know to step over that rope? Maybe the blindfold is enhancing the other senses, where the more than enough in the Four of Cups seems to make more sense than the I've had enough. Because he has more than enough. There's balance and harmony in those two cups, despite what the situation looks like. And then there are two additional cups along his path, but they could be dangerous. Okay. You also had in the T card crying and hurt over you. So for some of you with the Queen of Swords, she is a head over heart individual. And with the Queen of Pentacles, she is a very practical, common sense, like almost contractual person where it's not about the emotions or my ego. It's more so about what I agreed to, what the benefits are. And with the crying over you, sad, hurt, and upset, I think both of these queens may have some advice to offer. Now, if there are any insecurities in a person regarding this situation, I do feel like not just spying, but maybe looking into, and it's given like the 10 of Cups, so there may be like someone that could be looking into a family tree, a living situation, a household situation, because we have what could be rejection or abandonment. And then the crying over you, sad, hurt, and upset is giving me like the unfavorable aspect of the 10 of Cups. And so if I had the 10 of Cups with that Page of Swords, this letter, this text, this communication could have brought or may bring like overwhelming emotions to someone. And that may be even due to some early childhood developmental issues or abandonment issues. Okay. I don't know if the Queen of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles are the most equipped archetypes to handle this. So I feel like our approach to take to it, we have Capricorn. And that is also like a 10. It's giving me 10 of Pentacles. And so for some of you, this may definitely be a family situation where you're receiving, and what you're receiving is possibly the information. And this information that you may need regarding a family or financial situation that may have been abandoned. So even some of you could have gifts and abilities where you're the anchor, if not the last one left, just someone calling or chosen to do something that maybe no one else in your family thought was important to do. Maybe you have gifts and abilities and you have these different cords and connections to the archangels or ascended masters, maybe where Capricorn falls in your chart, but you have achieved. So while there's one instance of being in the head and not the heart, to coast through whatever no longer serves us or that we may feel not the best feelings with, that could bring us sadness and hurt or make us upset, there's this really grounded energy that's here to advise those situations. Because sometimes if we take I know my puppies want to get in y'all reading so bad. Sometimes if we take the approach of the head over heart, it could lead to resentment and a need of some sort for an apology for things that were left undone. Now, in a family situation, this could have come up or may come up where an apology, a letter, an offering, or some sort of communication about what hurt a person. It may be significant. It could be between two females, or it just talks about it's not a super dominant energy, and there's some sort of exchange involved because she's, I believe, asking him to remove the blindfold or giving him one because her hand is raised and usually it's extended out, which shows receiving, that she's patient, she's silent, and she's in receiving mode. Now, for someone in receiving mode with the Four of Cups, which is usually an ace being given or a cup being given, after the Three of Cups just wasn't enough, right? Here is an additional cup. And it's like, do we take the cup or not? Is the question. But I don't feel that this Four of Cups is accepted by some or someone because the crying over you and the sad and hurt seems like it could even go into this Five of Cup energy where there's regret, anxiety, depression, and it could be because someone is verbally, I don't want to say abusive, but immature. And their own insecurities could have been projected in the situation that may have made someone else feel less than, okay? So that's what I do have for you, Group 1. And I hope that that helps bring clarity. Like I said, with this achieve, I do have the guidebook here. So that's like an extra treat for us. And then do look into where Capricorn may fall in your chart. Or what it's currently doing with the transits, that could explain something. All right. I have the situation needs a good, healthy structure foundation upon which you can solidly build. Capricorn imbues ambition and drive, determination, willpower, and precision. Okay. When used with integrity, these qualities culminate in the gift of leadership. The mirror goat reminds us to dive into spirit, into the dream world, get a vision for the good of all sentient beings, then do the work needed to manifest it. Find motivation, set a goal, and build with integrity. Mountain goats climb easily up and down, but aren't as comfortable on flat terrain, okay? She is on a flat terrain, and so is he. Basically, everyone is, okay? You can leave your depressed when you feel flat and see no progress. So for someone, they may feel a little bit cold and bitter toward a situation that isn't given what it was supposed to have gave, okay? I can say that to be general. And if you can't fish, mend the nets. So this is saying to still do research and take some sort of action toward a situation that you may feel is out of your hand, because this blindfold, will be out of her hand and it looks like onto another. And so I don't know if some of you want to design or if it talks about like some sort of fabric. That could be a variation of things because this is a general reading. But if something is out of your hands and it involves others, it just talks about what to do when you're limited and or out of your comfort zone. Because even the goat has discomfort in some of the more, it looks like, what do you call it? When something is more likely, like a commonplace. This goat is used to doing like magnificent things. And so if it were just on level ground and it's used to the ups and the downs or motion, it may have some discomfort in certain situations. And that could apply to a past, present, or future situation with you. But Capricorn encourages you to practice skills to develop spiritual disciplines. And here you have the Page of Swords. Learn to control yourself and not others. And these two women are very much so either grounded or intelligent and not very reactive. And it could talk about how we handle, not being supported, not being agreed with, and or deep-rooted, reincarnated, or present life abandonment issues or rejection. Now, the pages sometimes talk about children and is also Aquarian energy. So just be mindful if there is an ex, a widow, a divorcee, or something like that, that may have walked away from a certain situation. It could be a passed on loved one or just someone who's no longer in the picture. And someone could be looking at their pictures and or wanting to communicate or trying to communicate. And maybe it'll help with the sadness. Some of you guys that are healers, that could be your gift or your ability. But it's like to make your gift and ability practical, there has to be some sort of discipline, research, routine, and for us to not be reactive in situations that make us feel a little bit uncomfortable. It also says to look for guidance from elders or experts and grow your personal authority. Develop confidence through your portfolio. Observe and savor not what you think you can or can't do, but what you've actually done. So keep an eye on the power dynamics. Without integrity, Capricorn ambition can enable gross manipulation. Control a tendency to become controlling or manipulative when feeling anxious. Do not fall in love with others' competence. Let it inspire your own. And the gift of Capricorn, wisdom grown over time and through mature experience, as is a connection to the spiritual traditions and disciplines that offer a sound foundation for our evolution. And I think that that's super dope. So that's what we have for group 1, and we will move to group 2. Group 2, you have the devil. You have Capricorn opening up the reading. And as you know, it could talk about many things, so we'll see what the other cards unfold. You have the Two of Swords with Temperance, the Lovers, lots of major arcanas, ignoring, and you have discomfort and rebirth. With discomfort and rebirth, there may be changes happening now that are uncomfortable. And I feel that temperance and discomfort match. And this talks about alchemy. It talks about fire and water. Fire is usually creativity or anger. It is also like energy. And water is like consciousness, emotions, love. So for some of us, our passions versus our emotions and or anger versus like some sort of calm and peace. If you're making something, it also talks about the ingredients, the alchemy that goes into a creation of some sort. And for some of you, I really feel like it could be tied to a relationship or your decision making. Now with the devil and the Lovers, here they're binded and here they are not. The Two of Swords also could be like scissors, and it's the scissors that cuts the cords. Now, they would have to cut the cords from each other. It is not a literal deity, right? The devil that's keeping them binded. The devil really has no connection, but they're wrapped up in each other. So there may be an instance to not ignore your feelings or lose yourself when making a decision that could involve others, or if there's a love situation. Sometimes the Temperance could talk about twin flames, and with the Two of Swords, there may be someone caught up in the world that's kind of refusing to see and maybe ignoring something. Now let's look at what the Pluto, okay, because that's a very strong energy. Pluto could be a very destructive energy, just depending your age, where it's at right now, and what it's doing in your chart. And I only said that because I used the word destructive when it came to passion and emotions. And I know that sometimes that Pluto and Scorpio energy could very well be the Phoenix or that dark side of our Queen of Cups. All right. So we're going to look at the number 27, which is a 9. And then you have the number 14, which could be connected to 5. With Pluto, it's the modern ruler of Scorpio and is a powerful planetoid that takes 248 years to transverse the zodiac. Pluto, the largest of 5 moons, is what it says Pluto and Chiron, the largest of 5 moons, each circle others and create a binary system. So most myths connected to Pluto, god of the underworld, and see the devil is also connected to the underworld, and it's crazy that I said it here. So imagine being at a crossroad in the underworld and temperance pops up, where a relationship or a situation and or your decision making goes from obsessive, compulsive, it could be very materialistic, coming from a place of lack, needing things, wanting things, and just our fixation and obsession with things outside of spirituality. And then being at this crossroad talks about something you're in the center of it all with the capacity to go in any direction. And then temperance pops up, which could be a divine being or an alchemical shift within you. And I feel like there may be or may have been blocks removed. So group 2, I think the strongest message to me is where the lovers seem to be binded together, but they don't look happy. And then here you have the lovers where they're making a conscious choice and a decision to take the flight, up the stairs, which could be the Akashic Records, which could be like some sort of tantric kundalini thing where they want to go meet God. There's so many things involving like the alchemical marriage, which would be chemistry. If some of you are into like the Christ oil thing or breathing or just any of that kundalini rising energy, I feel that there are symptoms for some of you that are going through awakenings, which is probably why the discomfort is right here with the same number as temperance, where there's chemistry and there's things working and there's alchemy in one sense, but then for some reason there may be a bit of discomfort through a change or a rebirth. And so I've heard, people talking about when you get to activating, certain aspects of yourself, the light body, the chakras, or just going through changes in the underworld, it could cause certain symptoms, which I'm not a medical doctor, okay? But it could cause certain symptoms. And those are some things that maybe you can look into if you want to contact a licensed professional, or just look into some of the symptoms of spiritual awakenings or the Kundalini rising energy. What I love, because I've personally gone through phases also group 2, where certain behaviors, right, that we have by nature, by experience, that we inherited, whatever the case may be, when it comes to how we are, what we do, what we're into or whatever, and then this opportunity that we receive to go to another dimension or to another side or experience divine beings from other dimensions that can help, like the Pleiadians, the Andromedans, the Seven Sisters and Isis and all her cousins or whatever the case may be. And the beauty in that releases us from limitations, and even on a brain neurological level, you make decisions different or you move different. And if this is about relationships, for some of you even attract different partners. But we do have ignoring here, okay? So we're going to see what that's about. And then, like I said, we'll go over what Pluto has to offer. Now, Pluto calls for 3 actions. First, to dig deep. Second, to be willing to transform. While you have this transformative energy right here. And it says third, the use of power wisely. I love that. Pluto calls you to drill down, dig up what is worthy, and bring it to the surface. Then rise away or rinse away the dirt and uncover the gold. So for some of you, this could be shadow work, and your capacity to see things another way or see the other side of something may cause a transformation. It's not just perspective, it can't be. Even though this may qualify for choices, decision making, and perspective, this energy is more to me like behavioral and reactive. Kind of like I spoke with group one, but it wasn't this level of it. Okay, so you may want to go and check out group one as well. Um, Notice obsessions. These signs of stress must be listened to and healed. And see, we have ignoring. Sometimes we could ignore and refuse to see certain things. Maybe your transformation is how you handle that, because I have experienced that also. And I don't, it's not about me, but just to make it relatable and not like you, because it may also be someone else in your environment. When we're going through growth and changes in how we behave, it could help us in our relationships and our decision making because we no longer operate the same. So imagine being on social media or talking to friends and family or a client and having a general discussion, but someone is ignoring facts or refusing to see something. If you have Aquarius in your chart, and this is also, I think this is more Libra energy, and someone is just like really stuck on and obsessively being right, I feel that your ability to control yourself and your reaction in this situation shows a lot of change, growth, and development. Okay? Because it could be uncomfortable to be like such a flexible person, or it could bring discomfort to the chemistry of a relationship if one person is obsessed and another person is ignoring and blocking a situation. So it doesn't even have to be like your reaction to one's perspective or behavior. It could also talk about the twin flame, the runner, and the chaser. Sometimes the chasers could seem, very obsessed, like loyal to the depth of us. But there's also issues where sometimes the chaser in a situation, if they were to reflect on their past, they could have a collection of individuals that were not as supportive to them as they may be to others. And if we're ignoring that fact, I feel like there's room for transmutation and change there, which may be uncomfortable, and or once you modify that behavior, it could make the people who were used to you just always being there and always being available uncomfortable. Okay. And that could be family, or friends and intimate lovers, because the lovers does talk about all of those. Okay. Now, the challenge with Pluto's shadow side, like I said, it could bring up obsessions, depression, mortality, and grief. Pluto plays hardball, so get a guide for this realm if needed. And for some of us, this is the other side. This is the guide. But you have to make the choice. And for some of you, you see the stairs here and the stairs here. I feel that that is the Akashic Records. I feel like it's meditation, prayer. It's something outside of ourselves that ask for help and invite, a higher being, our higher selves, God, or whatever you subscribe to, into the situation. But I thought that was very unique. That 2 sevens is also 14. But it's just crazy that you have stairs here and you also have stairs here with discomfort. And just like all of these wraps and connections, for some of you, there may be a significant message in Pluto and Capricorn, because they have a connection here. And with the 2 of Swords, it just talks about being able to see all of these different angles from different perspectives through other dimensions, and or to just be able to cut through the confusion. And you have a lot going on in both of these cards. So Pluto and Capricorn have a connection here, as well as this discomfort and the Lovers. So we'll talk about the discomfort card. Now, the gifts of Pluto. Pluto asks you in the face of life and death, why are you here? This isn't a rhetorical question. Strip down to the essentials and come back to what really matters to find the answer. So that's a question that we could ask ourselves, generally in a situation, or for some, just a call to remember in regard to life itself. Now, with discomfort, we have, if you put a well-organized city dweller deep in the woods, they'd be accidentally debilitated, out of their element. So for some of us, it talks about out of our element. They may be uncomfortable, but the situation offers a chance to stretch further and develop their soul. The same goes for a planet in a sign or placement that's awkward with its nature. For example, Mercury is the least mercurial when it's in Pisces, opposite the sign Virgo, which it rules. So for some of you, because Pluto is very powerful and maybe Capricorn has a different energy, and or either of these energies may be contradictive to your nature or the nature of this situation, it may just kind of explain why something may be going on in the present moment, and a transit or something on the other side may be of influence. Okay. Now, at this time, you are the invaluable sidekick when this card comes out, and maybe we don't like that. I can also see another person in a situation with you uncomfortable if they see or feel things that way, regardless of if it's what's actually happening. So it says this is not your game, but you have a lot to contribute nonetheless, and the long-term benefits will be worth your efforts. Learn and listen rather than assert yourself and your opinions. Use your strength and leadership skills to support and center another person or project. Pass the ball to someone who is in position to run it. Back up a leader. Do the work behind the scenes and bolster the team. If you're not ready to do this work, you can pass the ball and leave the field. But consider redefining your idea of success. Stay here and you grow needed skills, expand your repertoire and contacts, and build up trust among others who can help you in the future. Everything you learn, all the contracts you make, prepare you for when it's your turn. So group 2, that's very significant to when it's your turn, because there may be a rebirth, and maybe it's not time for you to be like this creme de la creme energy just yet. But I kind of saw that you will get there. So I think that's an accomplishment or something to be proud of within itself. Now, the challenge is whether you're an artist among the engineers or a linebacker among ballerinas. You may struggle to apply your talents in this situation. In these moments, it's easy to slip into self-pity and self-doubt. But the gift is you're being challenged to grow in ways you can't predict. You're being asked to diversify, stretch, and strengthen your weak muscles. Only you can decide if it's time to take that challenge. But this experience also encourages you to love yourself in the quiet moments and to appreciate what you bring to the table, even when nobody else notices. So, someone ignoring and refusing to see how you've changed. Someone may feel like that in regard to your discomfort with their behavior, and or it could be you. And I do wish you guys well, especially if these are like soulmates and twin flames. It's like, oh my God, it's like I'm trying and they don't see it. And then on the flip side, it's like, see what? You know what I'm saying? So, love and light to that situation. We are going to move to group 3. All right, group 3. Your first card is the 7 of Wands in reverse. Now, the Seven of Wands reversed could talk about a past situation where you felt you had to defend yourself. You had to stand your ground and stick up for what was right. For others of you, if it's not a past situation, it just is an energy of wanting to quit. For whatever reason, it's just like, fuck this, right? Along with the Seven of Wands, ouch, you got the Five of Pentacles. You have the Hermit. The Six of Swords. Okay, so it does get better. And then you have moving. Okay. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to put the Six of Swords here because this is like moving to calmer waters outside of whatever financial trouble or discomfort. The Five of Pentacles could be the mid mark from where we were and to where we're going. It also just is a heart clearing. Those of you that may be going through different energetic shifts, if you've recently did like a heart chakra activation, or any sort of spiritual or yoga practices, sometimes the effects could look challenging in your reality, especially with the heart and stiffly related to finances and stability. For all of you that may not be the case, it just talks about quitting and moving on in a situation after possibly feeling some sort of despair. So I don't see a tower here, but if someone was ghosted, if you've recently moved out from like a roommate situation or a job, I feel that the Six of Swords talks about processing it all. And for some of us, what we're trying to process could make us feel even more like out of the loop, or out of the norm. And maybe that's why you have the Hermit here, which is someone who comes in this world alone and might leave alone. And it does talk about an individual journey. Your individual journey involves a change in belief systems. For some of you, you may have incarnated to make adjustments to a soul at a soul level, a core belief that no longer serves you. So we manifest onto the physical plane to go through experiences that help us alter our energy, right? Or so I've heard. And you have introspection with the 12th house, as well as authority. Now, what I think is super cool, because this is like no coincidence, you have 13, which is a 4, and then you have 50. So it's kind of like the Hierophant and the Emperor's energy. One hides and conceals, the other shares and reveals. And if somebody's not doing that, I feel that I quit too. Because it's like, if you're not going to give me all of the information, and treat me like an outsider, a black sheep, or an outcast, I'm going to go where I'm celebrated and appreciated as well. Now, for some of you, that could be a friendship, a roommate, a relationship, a job, or just a belief system that doesn't support your life. Imagine you're part of a community or a religious group, and it's like things that are important to your nature and your identity aren't supported. So there could be just like differences in beliefs. What I like about this card is this one shows clarity. There are no clouds. There are sacred geometry, beautiful imagery, circles. You have the black and the white. You have the chakra system and the colors. And I'm talking about to a T, the geometrics are pointed. You have the whatever these little shapes are, the diamonds. It just gives me clarity with this card. With authority, while it's beautiful, every time you see trees, I think of a forest, and sometimes in the forest, honey, we can get lost. I know that there are all kinds of experiences and situations in that forest. So it's not as clear, and it's more experimental. I also feel that this is the sun, the rays of the sun, the messengers, the archangels, the ascended masters. And then this is a connection that you could have to them. Now, usually in history, where somebody's going up a mountain, they're trying to communicate with a higher power. Some of you, because this is kind of different from this, unless you're being asked to trust the process in this health improvement situation, because the Six of Swords is also connected to Archangel Raphael. And there are stories where Raphael will appear in a time that life could feel shattering. It's painful. It's a spiritual awakening. It's a shift in your journey. It's normal everyday stuff. Who knows? But it hurts. Um, things from the past come up. The future is unclear. And I have heard stories and even experienced like just this rock bottom broken where things that used to work don't work. People that I could count on, now I can't. Things that I never phantomed that would happen, they're going to happen. And they did happen. And it's like Archangel Raphael comes along, never really identifying itself, but you know that there's some sort of companion, kind of like the Holy Spirit or just something that is with you. And it gives you this breath of air or boost to move on, to go to calmer waters so that you can get the rehabilitation that's needed for whatever blocks that have been created by circumstances and situations. So I love that. This alignment is, I want to say, isn't that like vertical? And this is on the horizon. So it does talk about a cross of some sort. And when I think about the cross, because now I'm being like, this is a very specific message, and it may sound crazy to some of y'all, but I know it when I see it, especially since I brought up the Hierophant and the Emperor. Sometimes with the cross, like I said, the information is being concealed. And then if you remove the cross, where it's not any longer religion, it's more like spirituality, you have 11. So some of you, it's like a master 11 energy. And I feel that there could be something in your environment or people in your environment that may not be in alignment with your calling. And that is very, I almost want to put clarifiers on it. That is crazy. Because like it went there. There's like the cross. And then, it not. And so if I remove the cross, I'm either going to have an X, which is a 10, which could be the difference between these 5 pentacles and 10 pentacles. And also the cross, it kind of identified the point, and the point was the heart. So for some of us, and I've seen the 5 of Pentacles in the Mary L. Tarot kind of reference a hole in one's heart where it could have been a reincarnation and or a block of some sort that may have even hindered the finances, because all of our energy and attention is being put into that area. And some of the other chakras are out of alignment. And that's random, but I'm telling you it's right. When you focus on one area over the other, so if I'm focused on religion, spirituality, my heart chakra, my crown chakra, and there are the roots, the sacral and the solar plexus, that harnessed not only your soul, your willpower, your vitality, your physical, financial life or material life. It's like they may need some of our attention. Okay. And when I look at these boxes and moving, it kind of goes from the 7 of Wands to possibly this 10 of Wands energy. So it talks about doing the work. For some of us, you may not be motivated at the moment to do the work, and it could be a lack in finances, a lack in support, a lack in believing in it. And Archangel Raphael is saying, I'm here with you, and I'll be with you to kind of guide you through, because they say, now don't block me, but we are reflections of what's within. So they say, now I say they say because it's some awful shit that be happening on this planet, and I just can't imagine it being inside of somebody. But they say, you know, our outer world may be a reflection of our inner world. So if there is lack in areas of your life, do some research and see, or, you know, talk to a specialist. I am a specialist, but no shameless plug here. You can Google it without paying for any services, to see what your ailment is, if that's the word I'm looking for, what issues you may have in your life. And just out of curiosity, see what chakras it's associated with, and you may be surprised. But I kid you not, the Emperor and the Hierophant and the cross versus the uncrossed, with this Five of Pentacles here, and I know when Archangel Raphael shows up, it's some shit that done happened. Maybe some of you could be relocating and just breaking out of a situation where the only person that seemed like they was woke was you. I know exactly how that feels, and I can only imagine how it made some of you feel. But just know that you are not alone, and Spirit is with you. And then, like I said, look into some of the chakras that may be in alignment. And I think maybe even this chakra card was even here because Archangel Raphael is one of the, I want to say archangels, right? Not necessarily an ascended master. So there may be a message, and I won't lie to you. I don't know the message of Archangel Raphael other than that cool story that I heard where no one honestly knows who he is or what it is. I think they probably even made that name up because from what I heard, it's an invisible being that connects to you, much like I said, a companion where you would feel like it's God, the Holy Spirit, your higher self, a ghost. You never know, but it's something, it's the presence of something that is with you, and it guides you from one place to another. And usually that's from an unfavorable situation. Okay. I'll take that as a sign that I'm right. It guides you from an unfavorable situation into somewhere where you can sit down. I ain't gonna hold you. All right? It's simple as that. Because I don't know where you're going. But for some of you, it may be to the mountains. And they, but there's definitely a health concern, whether it's a physical, real life health issue that you need to see a professional about, or just spiritually barren. If someone's financial concerns or material life makes them spiritually barren, and they just want to quit and don't have the energy to do shit, I don't know if you need to be around that motherfucker. And I think you would only tolerate or settle for somebody like that if you had been alone for some time. But usually the Hermit, much like the Hierophant and even the Emperor, are individuals that focused on God or their sole purpose and self-mastery. So it's like, you got some other shit to do, beloved, than mess with Cujo, who broken and battered. But that ain't my business. Introspection in the 12th house, because with you guys, I felt this. But for the other groups, I did read inserts from the bonus cards, and I'll do you the same favor. The 12th house, which I feel is Pisces, speaks on both who you are when no one's looking and the fact that your fate is inextricably linked to every other sentiment being. Okay. The 12th house, if your chart was a village map, the 12th house would be a quiet place. The sun is in the 12th house just after sunrise, a time for prayer and meditation, for dreaming or deepest dreams. The 12th house is your inner child's world. Now, when they said prayer and meditation, you know, the Emperor meditates. I don't feel that there's an overly successful individual on this planet that does not partake in some sort of brain stimulant. And I don't feel that there's any religious legend that don't pray. So see, we on to something. But the action here, we have introspect. This situation is complex, so learn what's going on behind the scenes before you act. Look for the private motives, hidden enemies, and surprise angels. And I think Archangel Raphael, or this legend behind this invisible companion, could be a hint that you're looking for on what in the fuck is going on with me. Because that's also a sentiment that I had when experiencing something like that, because something like that ain't even supposed to exist. They don't teach that. So you'll be like, am I, losing it? And it's like, I don't know, maybe. The 12th house speaks of both who you are when no one's looking and the fact that your fate is inextricably linked to every other sentiment being, sentient being. Okay. Work with that metaphor. We are all cells in the body of the divine. So here's the divine. Here are the cells within its body. That is crazy. Now, I had a coffee cup reading, and I think I'm being long winded with you guys. I don't want everybody else to get jealous, but I had a coffee cup reading yesterday where there was a high priestess in the bottom of the cup. And then I noticed she was a bigger lady was around her, of an image of a human. I don't know if it was lit or not. But then at the end of the reading, I noticed they were all in this big ass head. So it looked like a head with a face and no body in the bottom of the cup. And then when you turned it another way, you see the high priestess in this veil with her hands kind of like cupping something. And then you saw the lady, looking to her right like a statue or like a goddess of some sort. And it was crazy. So check that out if you have time. Anyways, it says the challenge is it can be hard to find a healthy place between feeling subsumed by a group and dwelling in stunted isolation. Lord, look, here is the not healthy situation from just feeling like quitting or defending yourself, and it's like everybody against you. And then here is that isolation, which most Pisces that I know will resort to, and I'm one of them. So don't feel like I'm finger pointing, because when we go to the mountains, it's a wrap. We could be led there for spiritual reasons or going there just to get away from it all, honey. And the good news is, in quiet moments of prayer, meditation, and creative bliss, feel that deep connection to the source and know you are not alone. I knew it was going to say that. So all things can be true. I feel like this was a plethora of messages for you, and I am just excited to have been here to experience that, because I know especially what a couple of these things are, and they're very magnificent, and like I said, out of this world, because they ain't even supposed to be able to happen. So the 7 of Wands, now that I'm looking at the 7 chakras, it's like 77. And then you also have the number 12, which is connected to the hangman, who is waiting on the sun. And what I like about it is the hangman that ultimately becomes the emperor, and the sun rises. So that's what I have, and I do hope that it helps.